Had one goal in life: to become one of the best basketball players to ever live. But how did he do it? How did he achieve everything he ever wanted in life? What was the one thing he had that actually made him lock in?
All right, let's talk about the secret to finally locking in. We're going to figure out how to stop just setting goals and actually start achieving them. I mean, really think about it. Why is it that our biggest goals, our New Year's resolutions, start with all this fire in January, only to completely fizzle out by February? What's the deal with that?
We see these trends everywhere online, right? Last year it was the winter arc, and this year everyone's talking about the great lock-in.
But for most of us, let's be honest, it's the same story on a loop. You tell yourself, this is it. This is the year I'm going to finally do it. Then a couple months later, you're right back where you started, stuck in the exact same old habits.
So what gives? What's the real difference? Why do some people actually succeed while the rest of us just seem to drift endlessly? Well, to find the answer, we need to look at the guy who basically wrote the playbook on this.
Let's rewind back to a 17-year-old Kobe Bryant. Now, he wasn't a global superstar yet. He was just a kid with this incredibly powerful mission. I wanted to prove everybody wrong that told me I couldn't do it. That one sentence, that was all the fuel he needed.
So how did he do it? It wasn't magic. His entire career was built on 3 powerful pillars of discipline. But here's the key. These pillars didn't just stand on their own. They were all in service of proving that one single-minded belief right. And here they are. 1, master your time. 2, build a routine. And 3, create a system. So let's break down what each of these actually means.
All right, pillar number 1, master your time. This is the absolute bedrock of discipline. And honestly, it's where most people fail before they even get started.
4 a.m. For 20 years, this was the time Kobe Bryant woke up to hit the gym. Before his teammates even opened their eyes, he had already finished 2 full workouts. Insane, right?
So why would he do that? It's because he understood a fundamental truth that most of us just, take for granted. Time is the only resource you can never, ever get back.
And look, this is the daily choice we all make. For every hour you spend just mindlessly scrolling, someone else is using that exact same hour to build a business, to learn a skill, or to get one step closer to the life they actually want. It's the same 60 minutes.
And this leads us perfectly into pillar number 2, build a routine. Because you see, mastering your time is pretty pointless if you don't use it consistently.
Here's the crucial point. Repetition isn't flashy, it's not always fun, but it is absolutely necessary. Kobe ran the same drills every single day. You don't need to chase motivation, you need to chase repetition. Because over time, with enough of those small steps, locking in stops being something you have to force yourself to do. It just becomes a habit. It becomes who you are.
And that brings us to the third pillar that ties it all together: create a system.
This is what separates focused work from just being busy. Because let's be real, goals without a plan are just words on a page. You can say you want to start a business all you want, but without a system, a concrete plan of action, that's all it's ever going to be, just words. Kobe knew this better than anyone. He wouldn't just go shoot some hoops. He'd study 5 hours of film from a single game. He tracked thousands of his own missed shots just to figure out why he missed. See, he didn't just work harder, he worked smarter. He had a system. But even that isn't the whole story. There was something else driving all of it. Okay, so you master your time, you build a routine, and you create a system. You now have discipline. But there's a secret ingredient, a catalyst that ignites all of that hard work. And without it, none of the rest really matters. It's the power of delusion. So what in the world is delusional belief? It's the act of tricking your own mind. It's believing so completely that the person you want to become already exists. You start to act like them, you start to see the world through their eyes. Think about it like this. To fall asleep, you must first pretend to be asleep. That's how it works. So to become the person who is truly locked in, you have to start acting as if you already are that person, right now. So when you put all of these pieces together, the practical, nitty-gritty discipline, and this incredibly powerful mindset, you finally get the winning formula. And here it is, the secret sauce. Delusion plus discipline equals being locked in. The delusion is the unwavering belief. That's your why. The discipline is the daily action. That's your how. You absolutely need both. And honestly, no one said it better than Kobe himself. You have to be delusional enough to believe it's possible and disciplined enough to prove yourself right. If you only have delusion, you're stuck in a fantasy.
And if you only have discipline, you'll eventually burn out. You need both working together.
Which brings us to the final crucial question. It's not about whether you can follow a plan. It's about whether you have the audacity to believe in the person you want to become. So I have to ask you, are you delusional enough?
How do some people lock in and succeed while others drift endlessly? Once you understand this one thing, it'll change your life immediately. Well, to understand it, maybe we should look at one of the people who understood it more than anyone, Kobe Bryant.
Bryant out deep, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds for the win. Got it!
4 a.m. That was the time Kobe woke up every day to hit the gym. He wasn't supposed to be there for another 6 hours, but he never cared about supposed to.
Today, we're going to break down the real secret to locking in on your goals. And I mean really locking in, not just for a week or a month, but for good. You've seen these all over the place, right? It feels like every year there's a new trend. Last year, it was the winter arc. This year, everyone's talking about the great lock-in. It's always a new name, but it's always the same promise: ultimate focus and a total life upgrade. And yet, for most of us, the story's always the same, isn't it? You start off super strong, you're hyped, you tell yourself this is it for real this time. But then, a few months later, maybe even a few weeks, you're right back where you started. So what's the deal? What's the difference between the people who make it stick and everyone else? Well, to find the answer, we need to look at someone who didn't just talk about this stuff. He lived it. I'm talking about Kobe Bryant. He had one singular goal: become one of the greatest basketball players of all time. And the way he did it? Well, that holds the key for all of us. So, step 1. This is the bedrock, the absolute foundation of it all. You have to master your time. It's the one thing you can never, ever get back. Just think about that for a second. The sheer commitment. 4 in the morning. That was Kobe's start time, not once in a while, but every single day for 20 years. Team practice wasn't for another 6 hours. But he understood something about time that most of us just completely miss. And this chart really just spells it out, doesn't it? We always feel like we have no time. We wake up, we go to work or school, we eat, we scroll, and poof, the day's gone. But look at that huge slice for wasted time. That's the key. For every hour you spend scrolling through feeds, somebody else is spending that exact same hour building their dream. But here's the good news. You don't have to be some kind of superhuman like Kobe to see real results. The secret isn't waking up at 4 a.m. It's this: just one single focused hour a day. That 1 hour can be absolutely life-changing. So let's make this super practical. Pick 1 hour. It could be in the morning, after work, late at night. It really doesn't matter when. Block it out on your calendar like it's the most important meeting of your life. And for that 1 hour, you eliminate every single distraction. Phone off, no notifications, just you and the work. Do that, and you can get into the top 5% of pretty much any skill you want within a single year. All right, on to step 2. This is about building the engine that actually drives your progress forward. Once you've got your time sorted, you need a solid routine. And this is the great filter. This is where almost everybody quits. Because let's be honest, doing the same thing every single day gets boring. The initial excitement wears off, and suddenly that repetition feels like a total chore. So how do you push past that wall? This was Kobe's whole philosophy. He didn't chase the feeling of motivation. He knew that was fleeting. Instead, he chased repetition. He'd make the same shots, run the same drills, day in, day out. Why? Because he knew that real, lasting change doesn't happen in some big, flashy moment. It compounds over time through thousands of small, consistent, even boring actions. So the goal here is to build anchors for your entire day. When you wake up, work on your goal, and go to sleep around the same time every day, you're taking away the guesswork. You stop wasting mental energy on small decisions. Locking in stops being this thing you have to force yourself to do, and it just becomes who you are. Okay, so you've blocked out your time. You've got a routine humming along. But all that effort needs direction, right? That brings us to step 3, creating your system. This is the blueprint that makes sure your effort is actually intelligent. Seriously, think about it. It's so easy to write down a big goal, like, I want to start a business or I want to get in the best shape of my life. But without a clear plan, a system, those are just wishes. They're daydreams. This is exactly why so many people get frustrated and quit. They're working hard, but they feel lost because they have no system telling them if what they're doing is actually moving the needle.
And that's where a system just changes the entire game. I mean, look at this difference. Hard work alone will get you somewhere eventually. But hard work combined with a smart system, a clear plan, preparation, a way to track your progress, that's going to get you there 10 times faster. You're not just spinning your wheels, you're actually going somewhere.
And Kobe was the absolute master of this. He didn't just work harder than everyone, he worked smarter. He'd study 5 hours of game film from a single game. He would track thousands of his missed shots, not just to count them, but to figure out exactly why he missed. Was the ball an inch too far to the left? Was his footwork off? That right there is a system.
So you have your time, your routine, and your system. Together, those things create discipline. But there is one final, secret ingredient at the very top of the pyramid. And honestly, without it, none of this other stuff really matters. The secret is a very specific kind of mindset. Some people might even call it delusion. It's this powerful act of tricking your own mind into believing that the life you want, the person you want to become, isn't some far-off dream. It's already who you are. You have to see it and feel it as your current reality. From the very moment he picked up a basketball, Kobe knew. He didn't just hope, he knew he was going to be one of the greatest to ever play the game. People told him to be realistic, that the competition was too fierce. And you know what? He just didn't listen. He believed in his own vision so fiercely that he willed it into existence. And this is so crucial. These two things, delusion and discipline, they have to work together. If you only have discipline, you'll work your butt off, but without a powerful why driving you, you are going to burn out. It's inevitable. And if you only have delusion, well, you'll dream big, but without putting in the work, you're just living in a fantasy world. So this is the magic formula. Delusion is your why, that crazy, unwavering belief. And discipline is your how, the time, the routine, the system. You put those two together, and you become absolutely unstoppable. And who better to sum it all up than the man himself? Kobe said it perfectly. The real secret to locking in is this. You have to be delusional enough to believe it's possible and disciplined enough to prove yourself right. So, I'll leave you with this one final question to think about. What is that one goal, that one dream that you are delusional enough to chase? And now, what are you going to do to be disciplined enough to go out and prove yourself right?
Before his teammates had even entered the gym, Kobe already finished 2 full.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to break down the one thing that separates the people who actually hit their goals from, well, everyone else. We're talking about that intense, almost magical state of focus. We're talking about the secret to truly locking in. You know how it goes, right? January 1st hits, you're all fired up. You tell yourself, this is the year. I'm finally going to do the thing. But then you fast forward a couple of weeks, maybe a month, and you're right back where you started. So what is going on there? And it feels like every single year there's a new name for it, right? We call it the winter arc or the great lock-in. It's always some new trend dedicated to this exact idea. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody wants it. But clearly just wanting it isn't enough. And that's the big question, isn't it? It's not about luck. It's not just about talent. There is one fundamental difference, one thing that, once you really get it, changes everything. And to understand it, we've got to look at the person who mastered this more than anyone else. So let's talk about Kobe Bryant. And I don't just mean Kobe, the basketball legend. I mean Kobe, the ultimate case study in what it means to lock in and literally bend reality to your will. How does a kid from Italy become one of the greatest to ever do it? I mean, just think about that mindset for a second. He's only 17 years old. He wasn't just hoping to be good. He had this crystal clear goal, become one of the best. And it was fueled by this fire to prove all of his doubters wrong. This wasn't some casual wish. No, this was a mission. But here's the thing. That mission wasn't built on just raw talent. His success was built on a solid foundation, 3 super practical, actionable pillars of discipline. And this is where it gets really interesting, because this isn't about genetics or luck. It's a framework that, honestly, anyone can use. So here's the framework. It's simple. First, you master your time. Second, you build a routine. And third, you create a system. Let's break down each one and see how Kobe applied them with, just relentless precision. You've probably heard the stories. For Kobe, it famously started at 4 a.m. While his competition was still sound asleep, he'd already finished 2 full workouts. Now, why would he do that? Because he understood the single most important thing about time. And this is really the core of it. We all get the same 24 hours in a day. But most of us, we act like we have an infinite supply. We just let it slip away, telling ourselves, oh, I'll start tomorrow. Kobe knew. He knew every single minute was an opportunity he could never, ever get back. Look, you don't have to be as extreme as Kobe, but just think about the power of 1 single hour a day. 1 focused hour. No distractions. In just a year, that 1 hour can put you in the top 5% of pretty much any skill you choose. Just 1 hour. And that's the choice we all have, every single day. You can spend that hour scrolling, consuming, just kind of drifting, or you can spend that exact same hour building something, learning a language, getting closer to the life you actually want. The opportunity cost is it's massive. But, mastering your time is only step 1. Just deciding to dedicate an hour a day to something isn't enough if you can't show up. And that's where the second pillar comes in, building a routine. Because without it, even the best intentions just fade away. See, motivation is a feeling. It's an emotion. It comes and goes. You can't rely on it. Kobe didn't feel motivated to make the same jump shot thousands and thousands of times. He did it because he chased repetition. He built the habit. Real lasting change happens through all those small, consistent steps, not one big, motivated leap. Okay, so you've mastered your time, you've built a solid routine. You're set, right? Well, you can still fail. And why is that? Because time and routine without a plan are useless. You can't just show up and work hard, you've got to work smart. Kobe didn't just practice, he optimized. He built systems for everything. He'd study hours of game film just to find one little weakness. He would track his own missed shots to figure out why the ball was an inch off. See, that's the difference. A system gives your hard work direction. It makes locking in so much easier because you know exactly what you need to do next. So, when you combine these 3 pillars, time, routine, and systems, you create discipline, for sure. But even that isn't the whole story. Kobe had one more thing, a mental catalyst that supercharged his discipline and separated him from, everybody else. And without this secret ingredient, none of the other stuff really matters. It's this idea of delusional belief. Now, I know what you're thinking. Delusional? That sounds bad, right? But stick with me here. It's a profound mindset shift. It's about rewiring your brain to operate from the absolute belief that the person you want to be is who you already are. This is such a simple but perfect analogy. You can't force yourself to fall asleep, right? You have to get into bed, close your eyes, you adopt the state of being asleep, and then it becomes your reality. It's the exact same principle for achieving your goals. You have to believe in your future so much that it changes how you act right now. The second Kobe picked up a basketball, he knew he was going to be one of the greatest. People told him to be realistic. He didn't listen. He perceived himself as the best, and so he acted like the best. Okay, so let's bring this all together. We have the 3 pillars that build discipline, and we have the catalyst of delusional belief. When you combine them, you get the actual real-world formula for how to lock in. And they absolutely have to work together. Discipline without that delusion, it just leads to burnout. You don't have that powerful, energizing belief pushing you. But delusion without discipline, that's just daydreaming. It's only when you combine them that the real magic starts to happen. And this quote from Kobe himself, it says it all, doesn't it? That's the entire explainer right there. In one sentence, believe in something impossible and then build the discipline to go out and make that belief an undeniable reality. And really, that's the question I want to leave you with. It's not just about how hard you're willing to work. It's about having a belief that's so strong, so audacious, that it fuels the discipline you need to see it all the way through. So, are you?
So every year, it seems like there's this new trend that's all about one single idea, locking in. You've probably seen it called the winter arc or the great lock-in. It's this feeling we all get, right? This desire to finally get serious, cut out all the noise, and just go after our goals.
But there's a huge problem. And look, it's a story a lot of us know. We tell ourselves, okay, this is it. This time I'm really going to lock in. But then you fast forward a couple of months, maybe even just a few weeks, and we're right back where we started, stuck in the same old habits. So what's the difference? How do some people actually break that cycle and crush their goals, while the rest of us just seem to drift?
To really get to the bottom of this, we need to look at someone who mastered this whole locking in thing more than maybe anyone else. At just 17 years old, Kobe Bryant didn't just have a goal, he had a declaration. He was going to become one of the best basketball players to ever live, and he spent the next 20 years of his life proving it. So, how'd he do it? What was the secret?
Well, the first part of his secret wasn't some kind of magic trick. It was a powerful, practical engine that he built for himself. And this engine, it runs on 3 core pillars of action that turn those big dreams into actual day-to-day work.
And those 3 pillars are time, routine, and systems. Now I know, these might sound kind of basic, but the way they all work together is what creates this incredible, unstoppable momentum. Let's break each one down.
All right, let's start with time. We all know Kobe famously woke up at 4 a.m. every single day. But you don't have to do that. The real point here is that we all have the same 24 hours. Most of us just act like we don't. We let our time get completely eaten up by distractions, by scrolling. But what if you carved out just one single, focused hour every day? The impact of that 1 hour? It's absolutely staggering. Just one focused hour a day can put you in the top 5% of literally any skill within a year. Just think about that for a second. Every hour you spend mindlessly scrolling, someone else is spending that exact same hour building the life you say you want.
Okay, so you found your hour. Great. But that leads to the next big problem, doesn't it? Boredom. This is where most people fall off. They're chasing motivation, but motivation is just a feeling. It comes and it goes. The real secret is to chase repetition. Because repetition, that's what builds habits that actually last.
You see, real change, the kind that sticks, it doesn't happen in some giant leap. It compounds over time, through thousands of tiny, consistent actions. Kobe didn't become a legend in one workout. He did it with the same boring drills, day after day, until that action became an unshakable part of who he was.
But even if you have the time set aside and you're building a routine, you can still just be spinning your wheels. Why? Because both of those things are pretty much useless without the third pillar, a system. It's so easy to say, I want to start a business, or I want to get in shape, but without a clear plan, those are just words.
And Kobe was an absolute master of systems. He didn't just practice, he analyzed everything. He'd study hours of game film. He tracked thousands of his own missed shots just to find the tiniest little flaws in his form. He wasn't just working harder, you see, he was working smarter. With a system, all your hard work finally has a direction, and the path forward becomes obvious.
Okay, so you've got the discipline engine, time, routine, systems. But that's still not the whole picture. Because Kobe had one more thing, a mindset that separated him from pretty much everyone else. And without this missing piece, that discipline engine, it eventually just runs out of fuel.
This analogy right here, it explains the mindset perfectly. Think about it. To achieve something, you first have to act as if it's already true. You literally have to trick your own mind into believing that it's not just possible, but completely inevitable. Now, some people might hear this and call it being delusional, but in this context, delusion is actually a tool. It's the act of believing so deeply in the future you want that your brain starts to accept it as today's reality. You start to see yourself as the person you want to become, and then you just start acting like them. From the moment he picked up a basketball, Kobe knew he was going to be one of the greatest to ever play the game. People told him he wasn't good enough, that the competition was too tough, that he needed to be realistic. He just didn't listen. He was so completely locked in on his goal, so obsessed with it, that his belief literally became his reality. So, we have the practical side, that's the discipline engine. And we have the mental side, the power of delusion. Now, let's put it all together and reveal the final formula for actually locking in.
See, if you only have discipline, if you're just grinding away, putting in the time, following the routine, but you don't have that deep, burning belief in the outcome, you are going to burn out. It's inevitable. Hard work without a powerful why behind it is just unsustainable.
And on the flip side, if you only have the delusion, the big dream and all the self-belief in the world, but you never actually put in the work, well, you're just living in a fantasy. Belief without action is totally meaningless.
So the secret, the real key, isn't one or the other. It's the combination of both. When you merge that relentless engine of discipline with the unwavering belief of delusion, you create an unstoppable force. That is how you truly lock in.
I mean, Kobe himself said it best. The delusion is what creates the vision. The discipline is what makes that vision a reality. You absolutely have to have both.
So, look, understanding this formula is one thing, but applying it, that's everything. The real question I want to leave you with is this. What goal are you so delusional about that you're willing to build the discipline to achieve it? What will you prove yourself right about?
All right, let's talk about the secret to actually, truly locking in and staying focused for good. You've seen the trends, right? The winter arc, the great lock-in. It seems like every year there's a new name for it, and we've all been there. You tell yourself, okay, this is it, this is my year. But then a few months go by, and you're kind of right back where you started. So what's the real difference? What separates the people who actually succeed from those who just keep trying? To really get to the bottom of this, we've got to look at someone who is an absolute master of it. At just 17 years old, Kobe Bryant wasn't just dreaming. He was putting it out there for the world to hear. He wanted to be one of the best to ever play the game. And that fire, it was fueled by this intense need to prove everyone wrong.
But before we get to the solution, let's really dig into the problem. Because this cycle of starting strong and then just fading away, it's incredibly common.
It's this super frustrating loop, isn't it? You set a big goal, you feel that initial rush of motivation, and then, well, life happens. The excitement wears off, those old habits start to sneak back in, and suddenly your big lock-in gets pushed to next year's list. So the real question is, how do we break out of this cycle for good?
Well, the answer starts with building what we're going to call the discipline engine. And listen, this isn't about raw willpower or just trying harder. It's about building an actual machine for execution, and it stands on 3 fundamental pillars.
And here they are, the 3 core components. You have to master your time, build a rock-solid routine, and then create intelligent systems. So let's break down each one.
Okay, first up, time. Kobe Bryant was famous for waking up at 4 a.m. to get 2 full workouts in before his teammates were even awake. Now, why would he do that? Because he knew deep down that time is the one resource you can never, ever get back. And most of us, we act like we have an infinite supply of it.
But here's the thing. You don't have to be as extreme as Kobe. For most of us, our day looks something like this, right? You sleep, you go to work or school, you deal with all the life admin stuff like eating and scrolling on your phone, and poof, the day's gone. We're not talking about a total life overhaul here. We're just talking about finding one, single, focused hour.
And that 1 hour, it is so much more powerful than you think. Just 1 hour a day of focused, dedicated work, and I mean 0 distractions, is enough to put you in the top 5% of literally any skill within a single year. That right there is the power of consistency beating out pure intensity.
And that consistency leads us straight to our next pillar, routine. Now, let's be real, this is where most people quit. Why? Because doing the same thing over and over again can get boring. It's not flashy, it's not exciting, but repetition is absolutely 100% necessary for any kind of lasting change.
This is a huge, huge distinction. Our culture is obsessed with chasing motivation. The problem is, motivation is fleeting. It's unreliable. It's a passive thing you have to wait for. Repetition, on the other hand, that's dependable. It's permanent. It's an active choice you make day in and day out, whether you feel like it or not.
You see, real sustainable change almost never happens overnight. It's about compounding. It's the result of thousands of tiny, consistent actions. Each small step, each repetition, each hour, it all builds on the last, creating a momentum that one giant leap just never could. So, okay, you've carved out your time. You're all in on your routine. But even that isn't quite enough without the third pillar, systems. A goal like, I want to get stronger, is great, but it's really just words on a page without a plan. It's the system that actually turns that goal into reality.
And of course, Kobe was a master of this. He didn't just show up and shoot around. He had these incredibly meticulous systems. He'd study hours of game film, track thousands of his misses to find patterns, and analyze the tiniest little details, like why a shot was an inch off. See, he wasn't just working hard, he was working smart. He was working with direction, and that's what a system gives you.
Okay, So you've built your discipline engine. You've got your time, your routine, your systems all firing. But there's still one more piece of the puzzle. This is the fuel for the engine. It's the mindset shift that separates the good from the truly great.
I love this analogy because it's so simple and it's so true. You kind of have to trick your own mind. You have to start believing and acting and seeing yourself as the person you want to become right now, before you've even hit the goal. Now, some people will hear that and call it delusional. And you know what? It is. But it's a productive kind of delusion. It's that unshakable belief in your own vision, especially when everyone around you is telling you to just be realistic. The second Kobe Bryant picked up a basketball, he knew he was going to be one of the greatest. That wasn't just arrogance. It was a deeply held belief that drove every single action he ever took.
And this is where it all comes together. This is the final formula. The secret itself is where the machine of discipline meets the powerful fuel of delusion.
Just think about it for a second. If you only have discipline, the hard work, the routine, the systems, but you don't have that powerful belief driving you forward, you will eventually burn out. It just becomes a grind with no real purpose.
And on the flip side, if you only have delusion, this grand, amazing vision of who you want to be, but you don't put in the disciplined work to back it up, then you're just stuck living in a fantasy. It's a dream with no foundation.
But when you combine them, that's where the magic really happens. That is how you truly lock in. The delusion gives your discipline a powerful purpose, and the discipline is what makes your delusion a reality. They have to work together.
You know, Kobe said it best himself. This one quote is the entire secret, wrapped up perfectly. You have to have that wild, almost unrealistic belief that it's possible. And then you need that relentless daily work ethic to go out and prove yourself right.
So that really just leaves one question. It's easy to focus on proving other people wrong, but the real power, that comes from within. So what's that delusional dream that you have for yourself that you're willing to get disciplined enough to prove right?
Workouts.
Kobe's already there, with ice packs on his knees.
But why? Why dedicate yourself to waking up earlier than everybody every single day for 20 years? Because he understood something that most of us take for granted. Time is the only resource you can't get back. And most of us act like we don't have time. You wake up, go to school or work, eat, scroll, maybe watch your favorite show, and suddenly the day is gone. The one thing you swore you'd finally start this year, it gets pushed off again.
All right, today we're tackling the big one. The secret to actually locking in. You know that gap between saying you're going to do something and then actually doing it?
I mean, you've seen it all over social media, right? Every year it's the winter arc or the great lock-in. And let's be honest, we've all been there. That moment where you're like, okay, this is it. This time is different. I'm finally going to do it. But fast forward a few weeks, maybe a month, and where's that energy? It's gone. You're right back to your old habits. It's the same old story year after year. So what gives? Why do some people seem to have this superpower to lock in and crush their goals, while the rest of us just kind of fall off? Well, to really get the answer, we have to look at a true master of this. I'm talking about someone who didn't just lock in for a season, but for an entire legendary career. Someone who turned a singular focus into an undeniable reality. The one and only Kobe Bryant.
So, step one, it all starts with the absolute foundation of everything. The one resource that once it's gone, you can never ever get back. And that's your time.
I mean, the stories about Kobe are just legendary, right? You hear about him waking up at 4 a.m., getting a security guard to let him into a gym that wasn't even supposed to open for hours. And get this, by the time his teammates were just arriving for practice, he'd already finished 2 full workouts and was sitting there with ice on his knees. It's just insane. And why? Why would anyone do that? Because he understood something on a level most of us just don't. Time is finite. You can't buy more of it. Every single second that ticks by is gone forever. You can't get it back.
You know, we all have that same excuse, don't we? I just don't have time. But let's be real, that's a lie we tell ourselves. The time is there. It just disappears. It gets eaten up by scrolling, by binge watching, by all these little distractions. And here's the tough part. For every single hour you spend doing that, someone else out there is using that exact same hour to build the life you say you want.
But listen, this isn't about becoming Kobe overnight.
You don't have to start waking up at 4 a.m. The real secret here is the power of just one. Think about it. One single, totally focused hour each day. No distractions. That alone is enough to put you in the top 5% of pretty much any skill you want to learn in just a year. 1 hour.
So here's what you're going to do. It's simple. First, pick 1 hour, any hour. Second, block it out in your calendar. Treat it like the most important meeting of your day, because it is. And third, for those 60 minutes, 0 distractions. That means your phone is off, not on silent, off. No excuses. Okay, so now you've got the time carved out. Great, but an empty hour is kind of useless, right? You need something to power that time, an engine that drives you forward every single day. And that engine, that's your routine.
And man, this is where almost everyone falls off. You get super excited for what, a week, maybe 2, and then the newness fades. It starts to feel repetitive. It gets boring. And that's the moment. That's the exact point where most people just quit.
But see, Kobe saw it completely differently. For him, repetition wasn't the enemy, it was the entire point. He didn't sit around waiting for motivation to strike. He chased the repetition. The same drills, the same shots, day in, day out. Because he knew that's where the real work happens. That's how greatness is built.
So the big takeaway here is this. Stop chasing that fleeting feeling of motivation. It comes and goes. Instead, start chasing repetition. Fall in love with the process. Because those small, consistent steps, they compound like crazy over time. The goal is to make locking in so automatic that it just becomes who you are. It's a habit, not a choice.
All right, so let's recap. You've got your time blocked off. You've built a routine to fill that time. But you can still just be spinning your wheels and going nowhere if you don't have a plan, a blueprint. And that, my friends, is your system. I mean, look, it's super easy to say, I want to start a business, or I'm going to get in shape. But without a real system, those are just wishes. They're just words. And this is exactly why so many people burn out. They're working hard, for sure, but they feel lost. They don't see progress, and eventually they just throw in the towel.
And again, let's go back to Kobe. He didn't just outwork everyone, he outsmarted them. We're talking about a guy who would study 5 hours of game film from a single game. He literally tracked thousands of his missed shots just so he could identify his weak spots. He wasn't just working hard, he was working with a system. So your mission here is to build that blueprint. Stop just working hard and start working with clear direction. When you have a system, it takes all the guesswork out of it. It makes the path to your goal totally obvious. You wake up and you know exactly what you need to do next.
Okay, now we get to the final piece of the puzzle. This is the big one. This is what ties everything else together. It's the secret ingredient that separates the people who are good from the ones who become truly legendary.
So when you master your time, you build a routine, and you create a system, what you've really built is discipline. And that's huge. But, and this might surprise you, discipline by itself isn't enough. It's not the whole story. Kobe had one more ace up his sleeve, something most people completely overlook. That final, missing piece is delusion. Now, hang on. I'm not talking about the clinical kind. I'm talking about the powerful, focused belief that fuels your why. It's the mindset where you believe so strongly in the life you want that it feels like it already exists. You just have to go get it. You have to start acting like the person you want to become right now. And that belief, that delusion, it literally starts to pull you towards your goal. And this is why it's so critical. You need both. Think about it. If you only have discipline, you're just grinding away. Eventually, you're going to burn out because there's no big why pulling you forward. But if you only have delusion, well then you're just daydreaming. You're stuck in a fantasy with no action. So the real secret, the key to actually finally locking in, is combining them. It's the magic combo. And honestly, the man himself summed up this entire idea perfectly. Kobe said, you have to be delusional enough to believe it's possible, and disciplined enough to prove yourself right. That's it right there, the whole secret in one sentence. You need the insane, delusional dream and the relentless, disciplined work ethic to make it real. So I'll leave you with this. What's the dream that you are delusional enough to believe in? What's that big, crazy goal? And more importantly, what are you going to do, starting with just 1 hour tomorrow, to prove yourself right? All right, let's talk about the one thing that separates the people who actually hit their goals from everyone else who just kind of talks about them.
And no, this isn't just another productivity hack you'll see online. This is the real secret to truly actually locking in. I'm sure you've seen it all over social media, right? Every few months, there's a new trend. The winter arc, the great lock-in. It's like this massive collective promise we all make to ourselves that this time we're gonna get serious, focus up, and finally make a change. But I mean, come on, let's be real for a second. How many times have you said, okay, this is it, only to look up a few months later and you're right back where you started? That initial fire just fizzles out. The discipline disappears. So what are we missing? What's the secret ingredient that separates the ones who make it from the rest of us? To find that answer, we're going to look at someone who was an absolute master of this, not just for a season, but for his entire career, a legend of the craft, Kobe Bryant. And by breaking down his method, we can actually find a formula that'll work for any of us. Okay, so it all kicks off with the one thing you can never, ever get back. And that brings us to step one. You have to master your time. I mean, the stories about this guy are just legendary. Kobe's alarm went off at 4 a.m. every single day. And he wasn't just, a little early. By the time his own teammates were showing up for practice, he had already finished 2 full, intense workouts. Now that is owning your schedule.
Okay, I already know what you're thinking. 4 a.m.? I've got a job, I've got school, I have a life? That's just insane. It's not realistic. And look, you're not wrong. It doesn't have to be that extreme.
Because here's the thing. The magic number isn't 4, it's 1. Just one single, focused hour a day. That's it. And get this, 1 hour of dedicated, totally uninterrupted work on something can put you in the top 5% of people in any skill in just 1 year. So here's the action plan. It's simple. First, pick your hour. Could be morning, noon, night, doesn't matter. Second, you block it out in your calendar like it's the most important meeting of your entire day, because it is. And third, when that hour hits, phone on silent, notifications off, gone. 0 distractions. That hour belongs to you. All right, so you've carved out your hour, now what? What do you actually do with it? Well, that brings us to the next critical piece of the puzzle. Step 2, build a routine. See, Kobe wasn't chasing something new and flashy every single day. He did the exact opposite. He made the same shots, ran the same drills, perfected the same footwork, day in and day out for 20 years. He knew that real mastery, that comes from repetition, not from chasing what's new. And you know what? This is exactly where most of us trip up. We start something new, we're all fired up for like a week, and then the second it gets repetitive, we're out. It gets boring, it feels like a chore, and that motivation we started with just vanishes into thin air.
This is a total mind shift right here. We think we need to feel motivated to start working, but the truth is the complete opposite. You don't go chasing motivation, you chase repetition. The simple act of doing the thing over and over is what actually creates the momentum.
The whole point of this is to make it automatic, so you're not wrestling with yourself every single day. You build a routine around your whole life. You wake up at the same time. You do your focused work at the same time. You go to sleep at the same time. After a while, you won't even have to think about it. It just becomes a part of who you are.
Okay, so you've got your time, you've got your routine, you're set, right? Well, not quite, because just working hard, that's not enough. You also have to work smart. And that brings us to step 3, create your system.
I mean, just look at how Kobe did it. He didn't just go shoot thousands of shots randomly. No, he tracked thousands of his missed shots so he could figure out why he was missing. He'd spend 5 hours studying game film from a single game. He wasn't just working harder, he was working smarter. He had a system. Here's the thing. A goal without a system, it's just a wish. It's a daydream. So take this example. Your goal is to bench 225. Well, the wish is just showing up and kind of lifting whatever feels right. But the system? That's a specific lifting program, a diet built for strength, and a relentless focus on correcting your form. See the difference? One is basically just hoping. The other is a concrete plan. A system takes all the guesswork out of it. It gives you a roadmap. Suddenly, you're not just busy anymore, you're actually being effective. You know that every single thing you do is pushing you closer to your goal, and that makes it so much easier to stay locked in.
All right, this brings us to the very top of the pyramid, the one thing Kobe had that really truly set him apart from everybody else. This, right here, is the real secret. It's this powerful, almost magical combination of 2 things:
delusion and discipline. So let's break that down, because it sounds a little weird. Discipline, that's your how. That's the engine we just built with your time, your routine, and your system. But delusion, that's your why. That's the fuel. It's that deep, unshakable, almost crazy belief that the life you want, the person you want to be, is already yours. You just have to prove it. And this is exactly why you need both. Because if you only have discipline, you're just going to burn out. There's no big why to keep you pushing through the hard days. And if you only have delusion, while you're just daydreaming, you're living in a fantasy world with no action to back it up. So the secret isn't picking one over the other. It's realizing they are two sides of the very same coin. They've got to work together. Your delusion points the car in the right direction, and your discipline is what actually presses the gas pedal. And man, this quote from Kobe himself just nails the whole idea. You have to be delusional enough to believe it's possible and disciplined enough to prove yourself right. Your belief has to be that powerful, and your work ethic has to be that unstoppable. So I'm going to leave you with this question. What is that one big, bold, maybe even delusional goal that you've been holding on to? And more importantly, what's the very first disciplined step you're going to take, like today, to start proving yourself right?
But the truth is, you do have time. You're just not using it correctly. Every hour you spend scrolling TikTok, someone else is spending that same hour building a business, learning a skill, or getting closer to the life you want. And it doesn't have to be extreme. I'm not telling you to wake up at 4 a.m. every day like Kobe did.
Today, we're going to break down one of the biggest ideas in self-improvement, what it actually means to lock in. And to do that, we're going to study someone who is an absolute master of it, the one and only Kobe Bryant. Does this sound familiar? You know, whether you call it your winter arc or the great lock-in, it feels like every year there's some new trend pushing the same exact idea. We all get that sudden burst of motivation and we swear to ourselves, this is the time. This is the time I finally get serious.
But what usually ends up happening, we start off super strong, right? But then a few weeks, maybe a couple months later, that fire just kind of fizzles out and we're right back where we started, stuck in the same old habits. It is an unbelievably frustrating cycle, and let's be honest, almost all of us have been there.
So this brings us to the lock-in paradox. Why is it that some people seem to just break that cycle and crush their goals, while so many of the rest of us just drift? Well, a huge piece of that puzzle lies in studying one of the most disciplined athletes in the history of sports. Get this. This is Kobe at just 17 years old. He wasn't just hoping to be good or even great. His goal from day one was to be one of the best. That kind of singular, intense focus at such a young age, that was the foundation for literally everything that came next. So the question is, how did he actually do it?
Well, it all starts right here, with mastering your time and building a routine. This isn't about some huge, dramatic gesture. It's about what you do with the same 24 hours that everyone else gets, every single day. 4 o'clock in the morning. That was Kobe's wake-up call. Think about that. While his teammates were still sound asleep, he had already finished 2 full workouts. We're talking about a level of dedication that honestly seems superhuman, but it was all built on one really simple principle. Kobe understood something that a lot of us forget. Time is the one thing you can never, ever get back. Most of us complain we don't have enough time, but then we let hours just disappear while we're scrolling on our phones or binging another show. Kobe saw every single hour as a chance to get ahead. And here's what makes this whole idea feel so much more possible. You don't have to wake up at 4 a.m., okay? The real point is that just one focused, distraction-free hour every day, done consistently, can lead to incredible results. I mean, just stop and think for a second. Where could you be in a year with that one solid hour?
That's because locking in isn't one giant leap forward. Nope, it's the compounding effect of 1,000 tiny, consistent steps, day after day, week after week. Real change doesn't happen overnight. It's built brick by brick. So the big takeaway here is this. Motivation is unreliable. It's a feeling. It comes and it goes. A solid routine built on simple repetition, that is what carries you through on the days you just don't feel like it. And eventually, that routine becomes a habit, and that's when locking in becomes your new normal.
Okay, so a routine is great, but it's not enough by itself. To really make progress, you have to go from just working hard to working smart. And that means you need to build a system. Just look at this comparison. A goal, that's just a wish. I want to start a business. Okay, great. But a system, that's a roadmap. It breaks down that big, scary goal into clear, actionable steps.
A system tells you exactly what to do next, and that completely eliminates that what now feeling that causes so many of us to just quit.
And Kobe, well, he was an absolute master of systems. He didn't just practice randomly. He analyzed everything. He'd study 5 hours of film on a single game, track thousands of his own misses to find patterns, and obsess over why a shot was off by a single inch. See, that's the difference between just throwing effort at a wall and directed, intelligent work.
So, you've got your routine, you've got your system. That builds the discipline. But there is one final, absolutely crucial piece that holds this whole thing together. And this is where delusion meets discipline. It's all about the mindset. A powerful belief that is backed up by relentless, non-stop work. This is such a fascinating idea. It's kind of like that old trick. To fall asleep, you first have to pretend you're asleep. It's the same thing here. You have to start acting like, thinking like, and seeing yourself as the person you want to become long before it's actually your reality. You basically trick your own mind into closing that gap.
Now, this is what people were telling a young Kobe when he was moving from Italy back to the US. They told him, be realistic. The competition is too tough. The outside world was just filled with doubt.
But his internal belief was just so much stronger than all that external noise. He literally didn't care if anyone else believed him, because he believed it with every single fiber of his being. His delusion was so powerful that he basically forced it to become reality through sheer will and hard work. All right, so let's put all these pieces together. What is the actual formula to lock in? Well, it's a combination of everything we've just covered. Here it is. This is the core equation. Delusion without discipline, that's just a fantasy. You'll dream big, but you'll never do the work. And discipline without that delusion, that just leads straight to burnout. You'll work hard, sure, but without a powerful why, you're going to lose steam. You absolutely 100% need both.
And we'll end on this quote because it perfectly captures the entire idea. This is the secret. It's a two-part key, an unshakable, almost irrational belief in yourself, combined with your relentless, systematic work ethic to make that belief an undeniable truth.
Today, we're going to break down that feeling we all get, right? That deep desire to just lock in, especially when a new year or a new season kicks off. Okay, let's just get right into it because you know exactly what I'm talking about. You tell yourself, this is it. This is the year. I am finally going to lock in. You feel motivated, you're fired up, but then a few months, maybe even a few weeks later, you're right back where you started. I mean, really, why? Why do some people seem to just stay locked in and crush their goals while the rest of us just kind of drift? It's this super frustrating cycle, right? But what if I told you there's a specific mindset, a secret ingredient that most of us are completely missing? To really understand what it means to lock in, like truly lock in, we have to look at one of the people who embodied it more than maybe anyone else on the planet. Kobe Bryant didn't just have a goal, he had a method. And I'm telling you, understanding his approach can change everything.
So, let's break his method down. The very first step, the absolute foundation of it all, starts with the one resource we all have the same amount of, but use so differently, our time.
The stories are just legendary. 4 a.m, every single day for 20 years. He was in the gym hours before he was ever supposed to be, not because a coach told him to, but because he understood the power of the clock. And this just nails the core principle Kobe lived by. You know, most of us, we take time for granted. We act like we can just get more of it tomorrow, but it is constantly slipping away. Seriously, think about it. You wake up, you go to work, maybe school, you eat, you scroll on your phone, and poof, the day is gone. And that big goal you have, it just gets pushed back again. But the honest truth is, you do have the time. The real question is, what are you doing with it?
Now, you don't have to wake up at 4 a.m. like Kobe. That's not the point. The real power is in this. Just one focused hour each day. A single uninterrupted hour is literally enough to put you in the top 5% of any skill you want to learn within a single year. Think about that.
So here's your takeaway. It's simple. It doesn't matter if it's in the morning, after work, or late at night. Pick 1 hour. Put it in your calendar like it's the most important meeting of your day. Turn off your phone and dedicate it completely to your goal. That's it. That's step 1. Okay, so you've blocked out your time. Great. But just having the time isn't enough, right?
You need an engine to actually drive progress forward, consistently, day in and day out. And that engine is your routine. And let's be real, this is where most of us fall off the wagon. We get all excited for a week, maybe 2, but the second it starts to feel repetitive, the second it gets a little boring, we stop. The initial thrill is gone, and so is our commitment. But see, Kobe understood this better than anyone. He wasn't chasing the feeling of motivation. He was chasing repetition. He knew deep down that greatness wasn't built in those flashy, exciting moments. It was built in the thousands of small, boring, seemingly insignificant steps that you take every single day. So this is where you have to shift your entire mindset. Stop waiting to feel motivated. Instead, build a routine so strong that it becomes automatic. Remember, progress isn't one giant leap. It's 1,000 tiny steps that compound over time until locking in is just what you do. All right, you can see how this is building, right? You've got your time. You've built a routine. But time and routine are kind of useless if you're just spinning your wheels. You need a blueprint. You need a smart system for success. And this is such a huge trap. You say you want to bench 225 or start a business or whatever. That's great. But if you don't have a specific step-by-step system to get there, you're just relying on effort. And when that effort doesn't produce results fast enough, you get frustrated and you quit. Sound familiar? And this right here is the key difference. Kobe didn't just shoot thousands of shots. He analyzed exactly why he missed them. He didn't just play games. He would study hours and hours of film just to find one tiny edge. He had a system for absolutely everything. So, your action plan is to stop working aimlessly. You need to create a system. Break your big goal down into an obvious step-by-step path. When you know exactly where you're going and exactly how you're going to get there, locking in becomes so much easier. So we've covered time, routine, and systems. And look, when you put those together, they create something incredibly powerful. But there's one final, crucial piece of the puzzle that brings it all together. These 3 pillars, they form the bedrock of discipline. They are the how. But Kobe had something else, something that separated him from everyone else. He had an incredibly powerful why. Now, some people might call it being delusional, but it's this unshakable belief that you are already the person you want to become. It's kind of like that saying, to fall asleep, you must first pretend to be asleep. You have to trick your own mind into believing you're already living that dream life. And it's so important to understand that these 2 forces need each other. If you only have discipline, you'll work hard, for sure. But you'll eventually burn out because there's no deep driving purpose. And if you only have delusion, you'll just daydream all day and never take any action. You'll be stuck in a fantasy. The real secret, the thing that Kobe understood so perfectly, is that you absolutely need both. You need that wild, unshakable belief in yourself, and you need the relentless, day in, day out work to make it real. And man, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? The delusion is what fuels the discipline, and the discipline is what validates the delusion. It's this powerful feedback loop that just keeps driving you forward when everyone else gives up. So, as we wrap this up, the question for you isn't just about what you're going to do, it's about who you're going to become. The secret isn't just to lock in, it's to have a vision so powerful, so delusional, that locking in becomes the only option you have.
Here for a second. You getting up 6 in the morning, man? It's 5:30 in the morning. What time do you go to sleep?
But even one focused hour a day, no distractions, can put you in the top 5% of any skill in just a year. So block it out. Doesn't matter when. Morning, after work, or before bed.
Okay, we've all heard the phrase, right? I need to lock in. But what does that actually mean? And, more importantly, why is it so incredibly hard to stick with? Well, today we're going to break down the real secret to sustained focus and achievement.
I mean, every year it's the same story, isn't it? You see it all over social media. The winter arc, the great lock-in, and we tell ourselves, okay, this is it. This is the year I finally do it. And you get that surge of motivation, and for a little while it actually works. But then, a few months later, that fire is just gone. And we're right back to our old habits. So what's the deal? What's the real difference between the people who make it stick and, well, the rest of us who just kind of drift? To really find the answer, we've got to look at a master of the craft. I'm talking about someone whose entire career was just a legendary masterclass in what it means to truly lock in.
So it all starts right here. This is the absolute foundation. Think about it like building a house. Before you can do anything else, you have to control the one resource you can never ever get back. You have to master your time.
4 a.m. That was Kobe Bryant's wake-up call every single day. He was hitting the gym 6 hours before he was even required to be there. Now, this wasn't just about waking up early, you know? It was a statement. He was literally claiming hours that no one else was willing to claim. He understood that time, that was his ultimate advantage. And let's be real for a second, that's the complete opposite of how most of us operate, right? We feel like we have no time. You wake up, you go to work or school, you scroll on your phone for a bit, watch your favorite show, and boom, the day is gone. And that one thing you swore you'd start, pushed to tomorrow again.
But here's the thing, the time is there. We're just not protecting it. And look, this doesn't have to be as crazy as Kobe's 4 a.m. sessions. What if I told you that just one single focused hour a day?
But 1 hour every day, that's all it takes to start locking in. But here's the truth. Doing the same thing every day for an hour, it gets boring. And that's why most people quit. Think about it. How many times have you started something, felt excited for a week, and then stopped the moment it got repetitive?
Day could put you in the top 5% of any skill within a single year. That's the power we're talking about here, mastering just a small slice of your day. It's called the 1 hour rule, and it is brutally simple. Step 1, pick any hour that works for you. Step 2, block it out on your calendar like it's the most important meeting of your life, because it is. And step 3, for that hour, your phone is off. No notifications, no distractions, zero. See, this isn't about finding more.
That's because repetition isn't flashy or fun, but it's necessary. Kobe made the same shot every day. Same drills, same reps, because he knew the importance of a routine. You don't need to chase motivation, you need to chase repetition. And it's not about making one giant leap. It's about 1,000 small ones. Because change isn't going to
Time. It's about making your time actually count. Okay, so you've carved out your hour. Awesome.
But let's be honest, one great hour is totally useless if it's followed by a week of nothing, right? So this brings us to the next layer, building the framework that makes your effort consistent. We're talking about building a routine.
And Kobe, man, he understood this perfectly.
happen overnight. It compounds over time. So build a routine, not just for your goals, but for your life. Wake up at the same time, work at the same time, sleep at the same time. Because eventually locking in won't be something you force. It'll just be a habit. But even with time and routine, most people still fall short.
He wasn't waiting around to feel motivated to practice. He knew motivation is a trap. It comes and goes. So instead, he chased repetition. The same drills, the same shots, the same reps, every single day. He knew success isn't about one giant leap. It's about thousands and thousands of small, consistent steps. And listen, this is the great filter. This is where most people quit. Because doing the same thing every single day, it gets boring. That initial excitement fades, and it just becomes a grind. So the big question is, how do you push through that?
You build a habit engine. And what this is all about is removing decision-making.
Why? Because both are useless without a proper system. Goals are easy to write down. I want to bench 225. I want to start a business. Cool, but without a plan, that's all they'll ever be. Words. You don't hit 225 just by walking into the gym and doing the same sloppy bench press over and over. You need a program. You need to optimize your diet, fix your
from the equation. By making your key actions, waking up, working, sleeping, happen at the same time every day, you basically slash the mental energy it takes to get started. Your focused hour stops being a choice you have to make and just becomes automatic. It's just what you do, like brushing your teeth.
Okay, so you've claimed your time. Check. You've built a routine. Check. But here's the catch. Hard work.
Form. Otherwise, yeah, maybe you'll get there, but it'll take years. And most people don't want their goals to take years to happen. They want instant gratification. But while I can't guarantee you that, I can assure you having a proper system will help you lock in and reach your goals 10 times faster. Most people never lock in because they feel lost. They don't know if what they're doing will
Without a smart plan can just be wasted work. So now you need the blueprint. You need to create your system. Now this is what separated Kobe from so many other people who just worked hard. He didn't just put in the hours, he made sure every single minute was strategic. Think about this. He would study 5 hours of film for a single game. He tracked thousands
actually work, and they don't see progress fast enough, so they stop. But with systems, with a clear plan and preparation, suddenly the path is obvious. You're not just working hard, you're working with direction. And locking in becomes a whole lot easier when you know where you're going and exactly how you're going to get there. Kobe knew this. That's why he built systems. Studied 5 hours of film
of his own missed shots just to figure out why the ball left his hand an inch too far to the left. You see? He wasn't just practicing, he was optimizing. See, goals on their own are just wishes. Saying, I want to start a business or I want to get in shape, that's a great starting point, but it's not a plan. A system is the roadmap. It's what turns that wish into a daily action.
In a single game, tracked thousands of his own missed shots just to figure out why the ball left his hand an inch too far left. He didn't just work harder, he worked smarter. And once you master these 3 things, time, routine, systems, together they create discipline. But discipline alone still isn't enough.
Process. It's the difference between just hoping for something and actually executing on it. What a system does is it removes that nagging daily question of, okay, what should I do now? It gives all that hard work a clear direction. When you know not just that you're going to work, but you know exactly what you're going to work on, the whole act of locking in becomes almost effortless. All right, we've built the pyramid. We have the time, the routine, and the system. But there is one final layer.
Because Kobe had one thing that separated him from everyone else. And without it, none of the rest matters. It's a mindset shift. You have to believe that the life you want already exists. There's a quote that goes, to fall asleep, you must first pretend to be asleep.
The thing that ties it all together. And this is the real secret. It's a combination of 2 powerful and honestly kind of contradictory forces. So when you put it all together, mastering your time, building a routine, creating a system, what you're really building is discipline. That's the engine. That's the how. It's the raw ability to do what needs.
So act like it. Perceive yourself as it. And yeah, some people would call that delusional. But most successful people were. They chose to stay locked in on their goals when most people told them
to be done, even when you really don't feel like it. But here's the twist. Discipline alone still isn't enough. I mean, plenty of people are disciplined, but they burn out or they fall short. There was one more thing that Kobe had. This mindset shift that fueled his entire engine. And I'm telling you, without it, none of the rest of it matters. Think about it.
Not to. Kobe knew the instant he picked up a basketball that he was going to be one of the greatest players to ever play the game.
Everybody said, once you come back to America, you're not going to be as good because the talent is so much higher.
People told him to quit, to be realistic, but he didn't listen.
I don't know if anybody believes me.
Like this, to fall asleep, you first have to pretend to be asleep, right? You have to act like the person you want to become before you've actually become them. You literally have to trick your mind into believing it's already a reality. And yeah, you could call this a form of delusion. And this is where it all clicks into place. If you only have discipline, that's just
that was a goal that I've always had, and to be the best possible basketball player that I could be.
How, without a powerful why, that's a one-way ticket to burnout. And if you only have delusion, well, that's the why without any how. That's just a fantasy. You're dreaming, but you're not.
He believed in his dreams so much that it became reality. And you need to dream like that too. Think about it when you go to sleep, when you wake up. It needs to constantly be on your mind. To reach that level of success, you need to dial in harder than anyone else around you. Be so obsessed with it that you have
not building anything. So, the secret formula, the real secret to actually locking in is combining them. The delusion is the vision, that unwavering belief in your goal. And
no other choice but to lock in. Because at the end of the day, Kobe's career can be summarized by a quote that he once said. You have to be delusional enough to believe it's possible, and disciplined enough to prove yourself right. And that's the secret to actually locking in. Delusion and discipline must work together.
The discipline is the machine you build to make that vision a reality. One is the fuel, the other is the engine, and you absolutely cannot have one without the other.
And in the end, it all comes down to this single idea from Kobe himself. That feeling of locking in isn't just about waking up early or being organized. It's about this powerful combination.
You can't have one without the other. If you only have discipline, you'll burn out. If you only have delusions, you'll stay stuck in fantasy. But once you combine them both, well, that's how you actually lock in.
It's about being delusional enough to believe something incredible is possible, and then being disciplined enough to prove yourself right. That is the secret to actually locking in.